Politics often looks chaotic from the outside, but it is usually held together by timelines. Who contacted whom? When they did it? And under whose instructions? And in the testimony of Brown Mogotsi, one timeline in particular has re-emerged with unsettling clarity. The final month of former Police Minister Nathi Mthethwa's life. The reason this timeline matters is straightforward. Mogotsi testified that he contacted Mthethwa roughly a month before the former minister died. At first, this sounded like an ordinary communication. A businessman reaching out to a former minister. But in his evidence, Mogotsi has now clarified something far more significant. He says he made that call as a crime intelligence contact agent, under instruction from his handler, and not as a private citizen. That detail immediately changes how we understand the contact, and it reopens the entire timeline around Mthethwa's final month. To unpack why this is so important, we need to move slowly and look at 3 layers. First, what Mogotsi says he was told to investigate. Second, why Mthethwa was part of that investigation. And third, what this contact means for the timeline of Mthethwa's final month. Let's start with the first layer. According to Mogotsi, his crime intelligence handler tasked him with verifying explosive claims. These claims suggested that KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Lt-Gen Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, was allegedly working as an operative for the CIA. Mogotsi says he was expected to find out how far back these suspicions went, who knew about them, and whether any senior officials had acted on, or ignored these warnings. From an intelligence gathering perspective, this approach is not unusual. When allegations involve national security or foreign intelligence, the first step is often to trace the history. Who knew what, and when? This takes us to the second layer. Why involve Mthethwa at all? During Mkhwanazi's rise and controversy within the police service, Nathi Mthethwa was the minister overseeing the institution. He was the one who appointed Mkhwanazi as acting national commissioner, removed him from that position, and later had to respond politically and administratively to questions about those decisions. That placed Mthethwa at the very center of any historical understanding of Mkhwanazi's role. So, if crime intelligence wanted to understand the deeper background around these allegations, Mthethwa was a logical person to approach. Seen in this light, Mogotsi's call looks less like a personal favor, and more like a structured step in an information-gathering process. Now we arrive at the third, and most sensitive, layer. What does this contact mean for the timeline of Mthethwa's final month? When a senior political figure dies, especially outside the country, investigators often map every significant communication that took place in the weeks before that death. Who reached out? Why they did so? And what was discussed? At the time of Mthethwa's passing, the public knew very little about his contacts in that final month. Mogotsi's revelation adds a new and important point to that sequence. It suggests that, in those last weeks, crime intelligence was actively trying to understand the internal dynamics around General Mkhwanazi, and that Mthethwa's past decisions made him a key source of clarity. From here, a set of procedural questions naturally follows. What exactly was Mogotsi instructed to ask? Was Mthethwa able to provide answers? Did anyone else from crime intelligence contact him around the same time? And why was this inquiry launched in that specific period, just a month before his death? These are not accusations. They are structural questions about process, timing, and information flow. Importantly, Mogotsi's testimony does not claim wrongdoing by Mthethwa, and it does not draw conclusions about the cause of his death. What it does do, is reopen the timeline of that final month, and add a new layer of intelligence-related context to a period that was already full of unanswered questions. In politics, timing is rarely neutral. And this new detail ensures that the last month of Nathi Mthethwa's life, and the crime intelligence activities around it, will now be examined more closely than ever before.